Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Sports Status Podcast. I'm your host, Nate the Great, and alongside me, I have one of the two co-hosts tonight. The other one will be on a later show coming out sometime later this week. So, how are things going on? You get rid of some of the banners real quick.
Oh man, what a beautiful week so far. I'm just enjoying it.
We'll get through these games. We're not going to be talking about all of the NFL games that will be on for the show that's later this week. But we'll go ahead and get through all the NFC matchups. And then include picks as well. All right, so starting off, first NFC matchup was the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. It was close at the first half. Sorry, I'm taking a little while trying to get rid of the background here. It's close at the first half. In fact, Seattle was leading by the time halftime was going, and it was 17. There you go. I need to come up with my own background. I just realized I haven't yet. Anyway, Seattle was up 17-16, and then it was all San Francisco after halftime was over. Seattle, Cole, I'll give this to you because give me some of your thoughts and reactions onto that game.
Honestly, I'm trying to pull up the stats right now for the game. Here we go. All right. Yeah, it looks like Seattle just had a total collapse on defense, honestly. Brock Purdy got 332 passing yards with 3 touchdowns, and Geno Smith only had 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Do you think that could have done something to the game where it could have had a full-on collapse from then on?
Well,
yeah.
Well, the fact is, he only had 1 interception, which was not bad. But even with that 1 interception, most of his passes, most of what the stats show, minus 1 of the touchdowns, all that came from the first half. So 49ers really just got something to click.
Yeah. It's just like, come on now, you had a good chance, Seattle. But what just happened, though? It's like all of a sudden their offense just completely collapsed. And third and fourth quarter, they started collapsing in on themselves. 0 points in the third and 6 in the fourth. So I'm wondering, what's going on with Seattle? What adjustments do they need to make for the offseason?
Well, defense. To answer that question, defense. I will say one thing, though. 49ers, ever since Brock Purdy played, hasn't lost a single game. Okay, that's 100% true. You look at the team since they played. You had the Miami Dolphins. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. you had the Washington Commanders, you had the Arizona Cardinals, and then you had the Seattle Seahawks twice.
I know I'm
Seattle
gonna get some.
Seahawks was the best defense they've played the entire start since the start of his career, and it's not even that close. But even in, it's still not that good. Defense is the biggest thing that they can get, and mainly probably to get pieces that would be able to stop maybe get like a corner or two to try to stop some of those elite receivers. Maybe just trying to find a corner would probably be the biggest up. Why they lost that game. I mean, San Francisco, Brock Purdy, he scored 3 touchdowns this game and passed for over 332 yards. And
Brock Purdy's a good quarterback, I'll be honest.
Yeah, but again, his competition.
What sort of Medicore?
Deebo Samuel caught 6 passes, and those passes averaged for 100 not for 100. Those passes averaged for 22.2 yards per carry, and he got a touchdown out of one of those passes.
Honestly, I'm starting to wonder if it isn't Purdy himself, or maybe it's just the core that he has around him that's making him look good.
Yeah, again, receivers. He has Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and he also has Chris McCaffrey out in the back. George Kittle is one of the tight ends. So they gave Brock Purdy the best chance he has for success coming in to what game against y'all. That's what game number 9 for Brock. Game number 8.
Let me actually check. I'm seeing. So originally, he played against Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the season.
He did, but that was not his first game.
When was his first game?
It was the Dolphins one.
It was the Dolphins when was it Jimmy G or Trey Lance starting, but one of them got injured.
Trey Lance has only played 1 game this entire season, 1 full healthy game. It was Jimmy Garoppolo after that.
I'm gonna say this: San Francisco wasted a pick on him.
I kind of agree. San Francisco doesn't really. They're one of the weird teams where you would say that San Francisco doesn't need an elite quarterback to go out there and win some of the big games. They just need a quarterback that can listen to what Cal is telling him to do.
Yeah, and you also have to consider Nate. You also have to consider the opposing defense. Like, what's it gonna do?
I mean, yeah, it's true, but whose defense do I like better, San Francisco or actually, we're getting too ahead. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and move on. Actually, I want to talk one more thing. Since I think they should go for corners, really corners and edge rushers. Some free agents out there you might consider. Marcus Peters from Baltimore, he's a free agent. Bradley Roby from the Saints, free agent. I think he was a former Bronco too. James Bradbury, Philadelphia, free agent. Jonathan Jones, New England, free agent. Manuel Mosley, Cameron Sutton, Troy Hill. All these guys playing free agents that are could be a good spot for Seattle. Now let's move on and cover the next the next wild card game that's also sticking with just the NFC. Oops.
Whew.
The next one actually it was the Minnesota Vikings versus the New York Giants. New York Giants came in with the win. 31-28 was the final score. And honestly, I would say the same thing. The reason why they lost in that game was not because it was Kirk Cousins. Hearing this whole thing about Kirk Cousins can't win the primetime game. I don't really think that was the problem in this one.
Do you think it could have been Minnesota's defense or something?
It's Minnesota's defense, especially against the pass, is not really that good. I mean, not against the pass, against the run is not really that good. Saquon Barkley, 2 rushing touchdowns that game. Granted, he only ran for 58 yards. Daniel Jones threw for 301. So, yeah, in this game alone, it was mainly because of his passing attack. Leading receiver in this one, TJ Hawkinson for the Vikings, former Detroit Lion. And then Isaiah Hodgins for the Giants was the leading receiver. Now, Giants defense presses against the pass was pretty impressive.
I think the Giants were one of the more underrated teams of defense this season.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying give me your pick, but 2 of their best receivers, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, they played in this game against this New York Giants roster. You look at the number 1 seed, they have one really good wide receiver. The rest is good for what they do, but they're not the big league guys, big league names. Do you think New York Giants can do stand a chance against them? I'm not saying give me your pick, but do you think they might stand a chance against them?
Honestly, if they play the way they did against Minnesota, I'm going to say yes. Because if you take a look at Philadelphia, you have to consider Jalen Hurts. He's going to be trying the skirmishing quite pretty much. I want to say the whole game because Jalen Hurts really built that offense in Philadelphia if you consider it. So if you can lock down Jalen Hurts, you pretty much have a good chance.
I mean, big reason why the Eagles had success this time is really because of AJ Brown. He was all Jalen Hurts was really asked to do was just run outside run it out of the pocket, and then throw short passes to AJ Brown so he can go out and make plays.
And like you said, the Giants are good at short pass defense.
Mm-hmm. So I'm all right, and now let's go into the last game. Put you on the big screen here. It's time for you to celebrate your win.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we finally won a playoff game.
On the road.
Yes, on the road. We were 1-6 in blue jerseys as well, from what I found out. So that makes us 2-6 in blue jerseys. I'm going to say quick shout out to Micah Parsons. He is one of our better defensive line. And man, I hope they give him a big contract because he deserves it right now.
Yes, and this game went exactly like I thought it was going to. 31-4. I will be honest, the way this game was played, I was 100% accurate. But even then, it still happened to be a little bit closer than what I thought it was going to be.
Hey, Nate, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Send me your score predictions when I arrive in Vegas for the NFC and AFC championship, because my flight actually lands on that day.
All right.
I'm probably gonna bet
I'll
those
just give it
scores.
to you week by week because I don't know quite yet for the AFC and NFC championship.
All right, and remember that corner we signed later in this season?
Okay. Yeah.
He's still questionable, so I'm wondering what's going to happen to him. Trayvon Mullen.
Trayvon Mullen, that is not going to be. That's actually a good thing to talk about. This transfer into the next section, and that's talking about picks, NFC picks. Trayvon Mullen, losing Trayvon Mullen is going to hurt. You're losing your starting corner. He's questionable. Probably won't be playing in this game. And we talked about how good those 49ers weapons are.
Mm-mm.
So
we could have really used him this game.
Really, this entire game is going to depend on one player. And it's not Micah Parsons, but it is on the Cowboys defense. And that's on Trayvon Diggs.
It could be a Fender each as well, if you consider it.
Yeah, maybe, but that's not who I was. I think it's going to go down to Trayvon Diggs.
You think
How
it's
well
gonna
he's
go down?
going to how well he's going to do is probably going to determine the outcome. If he does well, maybe Dallas wins. If he doesn't do well, I think this game is going to go down to one or two things.
I'm going to be honest here. If Trayvon Diggs played like he did earlier in the season, when he was just a little bit inconsistent, I'm going to be honest. There might be a chance that the 49ers might win.
I think this game is going to go down to one or two things. One, 49ers score a last-second touchdown. And, you're looking at a 28-24 49ers win.
Or it could be next time management like last year.
No, I don't think so. Only way I can see the 40, I could see that too. But if the only way I see Dallas winning is if, say, 49ers have the ball back last and he goes down all the way down the field, you have, say, 50 seconds left on the clock, and Brock Purdy throws an interception. And now Cowboys have the ball back, 50 seconds left on the clock, just take a knee, boom, you win 28-24.
So you're thinking it's going to be that close?
I really think this is going to be a close game. You're looking at a 20 to 30 point game. Not difference, but like the winner scores 30 points, 30 plus points. Loser also scores 30 plus points.
All right. My honest opinion of this is if Dallas focuses on the running game and starts chewing the clock. That's what I really want them to focus on, is just chewing the clock within the first half. If we could do that, we could slow that Niners
Now,
defense down.
your biggest thing with the Bucks, their running game's not that good, and that mainly has to deal with Todd Bowles. Um, actually, I was listening to a show earlier today. He was actually watching. Yeah, who did he say it was? It was it was a game that Carolina beat him 21-3. You had They had Tom Brady sitting all by himself, all the wide receivers sitting in one area, all the running backs sitting in another, all the offensive linemen. It gets to the point where everyone in that locker room is hitting one another. And and the guy that did the show, he's a big New York Jets fan. And he said he's seen the exact same thing with when Todd Bowles was coaching his team in 2011 with the on the New York Jets. And the New York Jets, just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, had a very talented roster in 2011. And it just got to the point where the owner, the GM of the New York Jets, just tore everybody, just traded away all the good pieces, all those good pieces to other teams, and started from scratch because of what Todd Bowles did to that locker room. He is not a good head coach.
Is he Urban
And
Meyer 2.0?
What?
Is he Urban Meyer 2.0 essentially?
Urban Meyer's worse. Urban Meyer's worse. Because at least this guy didn't go out and kick people in the butt and do all that weird kind of stuff.
I was about to say, at least he didn't miss his kicks.
And then I'll talk about one other coach that is also not really that great of a coach later this week, but stay tuned. Now, that is my answer to your pick. Now, you said on the show, you think that San Francisco might win this one. Cool.
What was it, Nate? I got distracted.
Who do you have winning this one? Like, what's your analysis on this game? Who do you have winning this one? I think I heard you say that San Francisco has a strong chance, or
Yes.
at the very least.
If things go south with Dallas in the third and fourth quarter, that's going to be a huge issue. If things go south, San Fran. But if Dak played the way he did in Tampa and everybody shows up, we're going to win. But it's going to be ugly. My score predictions for this are around 28 to 25.
28-25 Dallas or San Fran?
Yes. Dallas 28, San Fran 25.
I can see it, but there's only one path I can see, the Dallas one. And I already told you what it is earlier. Now let's go into this another game. I think Philadelphia all around, how this is built, and you compare that to the New York Giants and how that roster is built. Overall, I like Philadelphia's better for every single position except for two: head coach and running back. Saquon Barkley, I take over anybody on that running room, including the quarterback Jalen Hurts. Head coach, I'd take Brian DeBull, not even close. Now Knicks. Now you go in. They go in, and Giants kind of impressed me on that passing game last week. And you got to look at earlier in the season. Okay, Eagles won first game around. Okay, great. But you notice later in the season, Jalen Hurts comes back from injury, and I get it, he is not 100% rested. Say what you want to say about that. But Jalen hurt, but the Philadelphia Eagles barely beat a New York Giants team who played their second stringers.
And you also have to consider Philly almost lost to the Texans earlier in the
That was a
season.
while ago.
Yeah.
I'm talking about more recent times.
So you have to consider, is Philly going to be that team that you see paper wise? Or is Philly going to collapse on themselves?
I think I'm taking the upset here. I got Giants. I think this might get ugly.
It'll get ugly very fast.
Give me like Giants 31, Philadelphia 18. Cole, what's your scoring prediction?
My score prediction is also going to be very high for this. And if they were doing over under regarding the 40 points combined, I'm going to take the over on that. I'm going to say 35-32.
You're giving the Eagles more credit than I am.
You got to have a little faith in the Eagles, honestly, especially with Hurts. But is that Hurts going to show up? Is the question.
No, I just think Hurts was too hurt.
Why would you say that? Come on
now.
now.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Nate Reed sports status.
The chat. Oh my gosh, seriously? Wow. So all right, now let's transition. Now we're done with the whole playoff side of things. I'll go ahead and get to coaching carousel maybe for a future show, but we'll go ahead and wait on that news till later. Although I will break some news that happened earlier today. This kind of crosses over to the AFC side of things as well. The San Francisco 49ers have gotten a couple of draft picks over from the Tennessee Titans. We don't know how much, but we do know that it is 2 or more. Because the Tennessee Titans have hired their new general manager from the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I am going to pull this up because I don't have the name on me. But that is, looking at the San Francisco side of things, do you see them using one of those third-round draft picks as the new corner? Trying to get a corner to bolster up that defensive side of the ball?
Yes, I could think so, but honestly, if I were them, I'd start looking into a much younger offense in general.
When their offense is pretty young, so I don't know. I don't know about that. I
Or they
think
could trade them all away.
no. The 49ers are going this far. They're not going to trade it all away. Unless they go this far for the next 5 years and don't make the Super Bowl, but they stick at like NFC Conference Championship or something. Then I would see it. But this is like only like year what 4 or 5. I don't see it happening. If it ends up going like Houston Rockets, for example, then maybe. But I don't see it happening. I think really besides corner, I think they just should just use most of their draft capital, and use it for death pieces. Now they're going to. They did, however, lose a lot of it because they ended up trading for Trey Lance. The only offseason move I can see is let Jimmy Garoppolo walk, let Trey Lance trade him away. And to be honest, I would be fine with that. And I already told why earlier.
All right. But yeah, San Francisco with the picks, they better draft something good. Or, Nate, hear me out. They could probably look for a corner in the free agency.
Yeah, they could do that too.
Because free agency
Especially
is about to
since they,
start.
they did lose a lot in that Trey Lance, but even though it happened a few years ago.
All right.
All right, and then other breaking news, and I only know a little bit more about this. Again, same podcast episode talked a little bit about it. The radio show that I watched um, had one of their own, like one of the coaching candidates um, that has been rumored for the Carolina Panthers was somebody that grew up in that town. Who I'm talking about is the guy's name is Ben Johnson. He is the offensive coordinator. I'm sorry, defensive coordinator. Excuse me, defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions,
All right.
and he's good at what he does. Uh, he's part of the reason why the Detroit Lions, well, one, their off defense kind of sucked at the beginning, but he was able to turn that around.
Yeah, Detroit had a really good season, I'll be honest.
And the breaking news that came out of that is he's actually going to stay in Detroit. He will not be a head coach. He dropped out of that head coaching race because he's going to be returning back into uh, back to Detroit to be continue to be a defensive coordinator, try to help that Lions team out. See if they can. He thinks that the Lions can probably get a stronger run than what they had this season.
I can agree with you, Nate. The Lions did look pretty good this season. I hope for further success from him.
Yeah, and now
Also, what NFL shirt are you wearing?
I'm wearing a 2013 AFC Championship shirt for the Denver Broncos.
Do you want to do some professional banner here, my friend?
Well, let's just wrap this show up with any like NBA breaking anything NBA thing that you wanted to talk about before, and then I'll give it like just a little bit of WWE and then just wrap it up there.
Not tonight, honestly. I think we should save that for Friday's show.
Okay. Well, NBA As for things in the NBA, I have one actually. Uh, I'll just go ahead and read off some final scores. There are four. The Toronto Raptors lost to the Milwaukee Bucks 130 to 122. Spurs beat the Brooklyn Nets today 106 to 98. The Denver Nuggets beat the Portland Trail Blazers 122 to 113, and the Philadelphia 76ers beat the Los Angeles Clippers 120 to 110. Why I wanted to bring up all these final scores: one, a Nets loss. Well, right now to the Spurs, that's kind of shocking. Two, my Denver Nuggets are now on a 7-game winning streak, and one of the biggest winning streaks that they've had all season. One team that has a bigger winning streak than the Denver Nuggets, and there's only one. Well, Celtics are tied also with 7. Was a team they beat earlier this season. The Memphis Grizzlies, they actually lost to the Denver Nuggets earlier in the season, but they have a game coming up next month. They have a couple of games coming up next month. Now, I don't think that they're going to last all the way, but wouldn't it be cool to see like a couple of February games, a lot on the line for these two games? The teams.
I think it'll be pretty cool.
Now, last but not least, I'll go ahead and just give some WWE news. As for the backstage stuff, they had to have a talent meeting to determine to tell the wrestlers, hey, look, we are not getting rid of anybody right now. Vince is only going to be here just to sell the company, and that's it. He is gone, done, retired after. Vince retired back in June of 2022, came back, and then unretired not too long ago, and wrestlers started to worry. Rightfully so, because one by one wrestlers were leaving, getting fired, and getting cut because of pay cuts. When found out, we really knew is he ended up being sued because of basically for hush money, and a lot of women came up and just spoke out. Yeah, you pretty much have an idea on the story. Well, I bring this news out because not too long ago, Vince got a lawsuit again.
What was this lawsuit all about?
He got a lawsuit from the police officers in Detroit. I'm actually pulling some of this up right now.
What do you do?
So he got a lawsuit from some people out some police officers out in Detroit. Which basically WWE WWE has a enterprise value you're looking at towards 8.6 billion. The complaint argues that Mr. McMahon has breached I'm not really sure what the word is. Fiduciary duties as a controlling stockholder, trying to impose his personal will on WWE and the board by perpetrating to adopt and package an invalid and inequitable bylaw amendments that would hold onto the board by making business decisions. So basically, he had the Detroit police is actually claiming that Vince basically cheated to get back into the office and didn't do it legally. Now, why is Detroit police concerned about this? I have no idea.
Why is Detroit even suing to begin with?
Vince. Now, I will say though, why I will say though is that Vince has been known to be a sexual harasser. Last year, McMahon stepped down as chairman of the board, chair of the executive committee, and CEO. Basically, he had reports of 12 million in secret settlements to his accusers. Now, where I am not really sure about is I understand why police are suing him. Why is it from city of Detroit? That's something that doesn't add up.
Honestly, I think the Detroit police is just after a money grab.
As for storyline things, the Usos have hold the tag team titles for 2 years. For the SmackDown side, and on the Raw side, they held the tag team titles for 1 year. They took it from Riddle and Randy Orton, the RK Bro tag team. The storyline that happened was, the storyline that happened was that there was a father and son tag team duo called the Mysterios. Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic Mysterio held the tag team belts for a little while, and it didn't last very long because the Usos took it after him. 2 pay-per-views after they got the title. Now you fast forward 2 years later, and the Mysterio split up. Dominic Mysterio has the has a new stable around him. With Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. And there's been this storyline. Basically, Adam Pearce is making them go into some of these matches because they want to claim that they are in charge of WWE and not the actual officials. And so they've been beating up on other wrestlers. They've been beating up on backstage crew. They've been beating up on a lot of people. So I have a hot take, and I want to see if you agree with it. I think they are going to lose their Raw Tag Team belts next week.
I can honestly agree with you. I haven't been keeping up WWE that much, but I can agree with you.
And now, who do you think's going to get it in the SmackDown side?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Because they're in a tag team tournament to determine who's going to get the SmackDown tag team titles. If they beat the Usos, they would get the SmackDown tag team titles. And the funny thing about this is, the faction, the Brawling Brutes.
Yes.
Well, one tag team, the two guys that surround Sheamus. Those two guys are in the tournament, but so is the third Brawling Brutes member, Sheamus. He's also in the tag team tournament with someone who's not part of the Brawling Brutes. He's in the tag team tournament with Drew McIntyre. So what's going to happen if the Brawling Brutes are going to have to face each other in order to face the Usos?
Yeah, it'll be entertaining. I think the Brawling Boots are gonna take the tag team title.
And the other team you're talking about is the Latino de Fantastica, Hit Row, and the Viking Raiders. They kind of have Sheamus and Drew McIntyre kind of have two feuds going on right now. One is with the Viking Raiders, the other is with the Usos. Any final thoughts before we give this a close?
Wait, what?
The Usos have. The Sheamus and Drew McIntyre have two feuds going on right now. One is with the Viking Raiders, and the other is with the Usos.
I'm gonna have to do more research on this dispute.
Okay. To answer, so do you have any final thoughts before we give this a close?
Today was a great episode. Nate, please do not ever send me a last minute notice again.
Sorry.
At least give me a day's notice so I can prepare material. But other than that, it was a good episode. I had some fun.
All right, this has been another episode of the Sports Status Cut podcast with your host Nate the Great Cole, signing out, and we'll see you sometime later this week.